Hey guys, welcome to today's episode. Today we're going to talk about how to plan your build. It's really important that when you start your build, or even any point in your build, that you have a plan. Now the reason for that is because it's really easy to get caught up in all the weird little things that you really kind of regret spending your money on later on. And if you've got ADHD like me, it's really easy to get distracted by all the weird little things that you can buy online. I mean, heck, you'd be surprised how expensive stickers are. By making a plan, you can avoid spending all that money on things that you didn't really want in the long run and put it all towards the things that you've been dreaming of. I would say you'd finish your build, but we all know they're never finished. All great builds start with a plan, so let's figure out how to make one. It'll really help you out. To give you guys an example, I'm going to go through making a plan for the Odyssey here, and I think you're going to really like it. And as a bonus, you're going to get to see what I want to do with it. To get started, I'm going to go ahead and take some of these colored note cards. I'm going to start making categories. Now, I'm going to touch base on why we use the colored note cards in a second here. Pretty quickly, you're going to come to realize that different parts of your build that you want to do are going to have kind of like different tiers, I guess you could say. And they're all going to be like different costs, different levels of work, and all that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to categorize each of those. We're going to have our big tier, or the highest tier, and that's going to be your really big ticket items. So like say for example, air suspension, engine management, adding boost, those kinds of things. The stuff that takes a lot of work, a lot of time. They're the things that are gonna keep you motivated to do your build and just kind of, they're the fun stuff. And so this is why we're using the colored note cards. It's great because we can visualize each of these categories and we're gonna write down everything we want on these note cards. So of course we're going to start with the absolute biggest stuff, the high tier. For high tier, I'm going to use the yellow note card so it kind of stands out and looks special. I take back what I said, do everything all at once, but let me show you kind of the order of things and how I categorize everything. Start off with yellow, and that's our biggest projects, the ones that are going to take a while to save up for or are going to be a lot of effort and cost a lot, but they make a huge difference. Next up, we have our medium category, and this one's where it's going to be, it might cost a little bit more, or a little bit more than other parts, a little less than your major items. However, there's something that you could easily do in a day, even if something were to go wrong, or maybe there's just not a lot of labor to them, they don't cost a whole lot. For that, I used green because it stands out a little bit but not much. And then finally, we use blue for our very lowest tier things. And so those are items that are going to be something you could easily do in under an hour if you have all the parts on hand. And they're really like little things that you're like, oh, I've been meaning to do that, but it's not like something that you actually have to really save up much for. Lastly, we have red, which is our maintenance items. Now that you don't have to write all your maintenance items down, I mean, there's some that are just kind of a given, like I need to not start. You don't have to write all of your maintenance items down. Some of them are just kind of a given, like I have to replace my starter battery because that's kind of starting to go down or it's starting to corrode. So that needs replacing soon, but that's not like something where I need to write it down or else I'm going to forget about it. Because it's right there every time I'm in the engine bay, I can kind of see it's going on, and it's not like I have to order a whole lot of parts for that. It's just one thing, drop it in, and we're good. Let's lay everything out and show you how it looks. As you can see here, we got the whole list put up, and what I've done here is I've just kind of ordered everything from like our highest tier down to medium, low, and maintenance. And that just kind of helps us visualize like our goals are way up there, and it is possible to get to them. We just have to it just kind of reminds us that they are there and it's easy to get to them as long as we don't get caught up in all these things down here. But it's important that we still take care of our important maintenance items, because without doing that, stuff up here wouldn't be possible. Now you'll also notice how there's not many minor items on here. The reason for that is because, well, you can't really think of that many. It's probably a good thing to try and keep that minimal, because otherwise you'll probably wind up spending a lot of money on really cheap things. And if you do come up with something to put on there, maybe wait a little bit to see if you can still remember it when you go to write it down a day or two later, because that'll kind of show you if it's important or not. When you're trying to get to all this stuff up here, it's important that you save as much money as possible. Something to note about plans like these is they don't have to be concrete. You don't have to stick to it 100%. Sometimes you're going to do things that aren't exactly in your plan, but you really wanted to do anyways. You know, maybe it's a fun project or something. So, you know, use them as a general guide, but they don't have to be a set in stone deal. It doesn't have to exactly be on the list to do it, but it helps you get an idea of where you want to go with things and how to avoid spending more money on things you don't really need. So anyways, that's what the plan looks like for the Odyssey for the most part. There's probably a few things that I forgot that I can't think of right now. I mean, I only sat down for maybe like 10 or 20 minutes writing all these down, and so I might add on to that as we go along, but for the most part, that gives you an idea of where we're going. It kind of gives you a way to visualize where you're going with your build and all that stuff. And the reason why I like the note cards is that you can also easily reorganize them. It's easier than using a whiteboard and erasing and writing down the same thing every time you want to move it. So you could, if you really wanted to, you could set this all up in like in a line and just kind of say, okay, we're going to start at point A and we're going to work our way to point B. However, I like this because sometimes I want to do something a little lighter, sometimes I want to do something a little more fun. So, you know, it kind of gives you the flexibility you want without having to go through a lot of work just to reorganize it. I'm pretty sure I covered everything I wanted to with my build plan. However, I know sometimes I forget about things, so if you think I forgot something, go ahead and drop it in the comments. I mean, maybe I don't even plan on doing it, but it might be something I really want to after you tell me about it. Who knows? I can't wait to start doing some engine work on this thing. I think I'm going to start off with the engine management. That's going to basically be a whole gateway to unlocking a lot of new power out of this engine, even without boost. It's an alright engine, but the factory ECU is locked and we can't really get it out of a economy kind of tune. Once we are able to start telling it to do more than just be economical, we can really start doing some awesome stuff with it. That'll be coming up eventually. I gotta save up for it because it's, like I said, pretty freaking expensive, but we'll get there. And with that plan over there, it'll help us make sure that we don't spend our money on other stupid things. Make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any of these really awesome projects happening to the van here. They're all gonna happen at some point, and I really want to be able to show you guys exactly what happens because we are kind of in uncharted territory here. Speaking of, if you want to see me work on the van a little bit more, you can go and check out last week's upload where I fixed that dent, or at least made it a little bit better. Until next time, stay classy. See you in the next video.